You cannot directly jump into competitive programs. It is not the same that everybody can reach candidate master or 6-star in this. Touch typing, it is like, you are able to type without seeing the keyboard. What happens is that, you can start from the very first problem and go down.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Learning Bridge. I hope you guys are doing good and staying safe. So today's podcast is especially dedicated for those aspiring students and freshers who are actually really interested in the competitive programming part. Let's say even they started it but finding it really difficult, how to improve on logic, what kind of the strategy they should follow in order to just participate in the coding challenges on different platforms like CodeChef, Codeforces. And our guest for today's podcast is really talented Priyansh Agarwal. He is a final year student from CSE branch in 𝗃𝗃𝗃 Delhi, and he is actually 6-star on CodeChef and candidate master on Codeforces. So today he will share his entire journey of moving into the competitive programming, how he started and how much time it took for him to become the 6-star on CodeChef, candidate master on Codeforces, what kind of strategy he used to follow while solving the coding questions, while solving the coding challenges, what is the his observations, what are his secrets, tips, and how he has improved. These kind of wonderful and informative tips and secrets he will be sharing in this podcast. So make sure to watch this podcast till the very end. Do not even miss a single second from this podcast, because whatever he will be sharing, that is definitely going to boost your confidence and that will help you to become a good competitive programmer. After watching this podcast, if you find it really informative, then like this video for the better reach, and feel free to put your doubts, questions, thoughts in the comment section. If you have started with CP, then share your journey in the comment section as well. And if you're new to my channel, then don't forget to subscribe and press the notification icon for these kind of amazing podcasts. And guys, if you directly want to learn from Priyansh, then do follow his YouTube channel and also join his Discord server, that is especially for the competitive programming related things, amazing discussions. So I will provide the link in the description. Go just subscribe his YouTube channel as well, and most important, become the part of his Discord community. And guys, we all know to crack really good product based companies, one thing is really important, that is the data structures and algorithms fundamental. So sometimes we used to struggle that what should be the dedicated resource for it. Here this amazing platform Coding Ninjas can help you in that journey. Couple of things which I like about Coding Ninjas platform is that their course curriculum is designed by top-notch students who are the alumni of top-notch colleges of India, and their constant teaching assistant support, one-to-one doubt resolution part. This is pretty amazing. So they have couple of amazing courses listed down here for the data structures in different languages, Java, C++, Python, competitive programming courses, interview preparation related, which is really important for the freshers, courses related to web development with latest tech stacks, courses related to data science and machine learning, which is really popular nowadays, and Android development. So these are the amazing courses they have. So if you want to move from noob coder thing to the pro coder or pro developer, then you can enroll yourself in these courses. You can use the link which is in the description. You will get 15% extra discount on top of the early bird discount. Okay, so thank you so much Priyansh for joining me podcast, and I think this session is going to be really helpful for those folks who are reaching out to me regarding the competitive programming platforms like CodeChef, Codeforces, because trust me guys, I'm not a competitive programmer, so I thought to bring someone who is actually a really good competitive programmer, and Priyansh was the really good person for that. So Priyansh, it would be really great if you can just introduce yourself and talk about your academic background.
So I'll just tell you quickly about my overall academic background. So I'll begin with class 10th. And I went to a school in Nainital called St. Joseph's for, my class 10th. And then I came to Delhi for my 11th and 12th, and I did it from DPS RK. And I was also preparing for JEE while, I was in my 11th and 12th. So I appeared for JEE and I got a decent rank to get me computer science here at 𝗃𝗃𝗃 Delhi. And right now I'm in my 3rd year pursuing a BTech here at 𝗃𝗃𝗃 Delhi. And yeah, that is like a brief, overview about my education. And if you talk about things that I'm doing right now, then I've been doing competitive programming for like the past 1.5 years. And I also have my own YouTube channel on competitive programming. So like, if for the people who are watching this video specifically for CP, you can definitely check that out as well.
Yep guys, definitely you should follow his YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description. Priyansh, we will talk more about your journey into the CP and everything. So when and how did you start your programming journey? Was it like covering basics first or directly jumping into CP? Because this is the very typical challenge with any of the freshers.
Right. So I feel that this is for everybody. You cannot directly jump into competitive programming. Specifically, if you want to get into CP, you have to be, familiar with the programming language. You should be good with its syntax. And secondly, it is not just about, knowing a programming language. You should also be having a good logic. Like you should have good logic building skills. So, I mean, for logic building, this comes with time. It is not something that you are born with, right? So I'll just tell you what I did exactly. So my programming journey actually started from class 9th. I mean, I was in ICSE board, so I had a subject called computer science, and they were teaching Java in that. So, I mean, I was really very interested when they taught me Java. I got really interested into it. And then when I had the option of, choosing a subject in class 11th and 12th, I chose computer science again. And therein I learned about C++. Now, when I talk about this programming that I've done till class 12th, it was not actual proper programming, like solving problems which are very tough. This was just general solving, like, you get these problems, write a program to print the nth Fibonacci numbers, things like these, right?
Yeah.
And when I got into college, I mean, there were clubs here and people were doing CP in my college as well. So there was a club called 𝗶𝗶𝘶, and I got introduced to competitive programming from 𝗶𝗶𝘶 itself. So yeah, I mean, I learned another language in my first semester here at IIIT Delhi, which was Python. Now, I don't really use Python for CP. I use C++ right now. And after like around my second semester, I would say, I actually started doing competitive programming seriously. Now, before I started doing CP, I already had my fundamentals clear. Like I was aware of a little bit of some data structures, some algorithms, and also like a good programming language.
Guys, Priyansh is actually a candidate master on Codeforces, 6-star on CodeChef. So we will talk about that thing. So how much time and effort was required to reach like candidate master and 6-star on CodeChef? And how has the journey been after you became the candidate master?
So I'll answer the first part of the question first, which is like how much time was it required? So I feel that in my case, it was just 1 year. Like I'm saying that this 1 year is the part where I was actually doing competitive programming. I'm not including the time where I was learning a programming language, learning very simple stuff. So it took me around a year when I got serious. And so I got to candidate master in around a year, and after some time I got to 6-star as well. And if you talk about I mean, it kind of depends. It is not the same that everybody can reach candidate master or 6-star in this time duration. There are people who do it in 2 months. There are people who aren't able to do it in 3 years as well. So it kind of depends upon the amount of effort you're willing to put in. So I think if this also depends upon the curriculum that you have at your college. For example, at my college, the curriculum is very, very hectic. So people aren't able to give that much time to CP, for example. So I feel that if I had been in a college where the curriculum was a little bit lighter, I could have achieved this, much earlier. But yeah, I mean, that is how much time it requires. You should ideally be requiring at least a year to reach candidate master once you start CP. And I'll answer the second part of the question, which was how has the journey been after I became a candidate master, right? So I became a candidate master almost like around 8 months ago. And since then, my rating hasn't really improved. I tried, putting in a lot of effort, but it hasn't really improved. I am at that same rating. Although when I reached candidate master 8 months ago, my rating was going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I was at candidate master, but I was dropping to expert and then coming back to candidate master. And right now, I think my rating is kind of stable. I am in that zone of candidate master, and it is stable. Like I can say that I am a candidate master now.
What's your thought on the consistency part? Like how much does it matter for like achieving these kind of ratings and like 6-star on CodeChef?
Yeah, I think consistency is definitely very, very important here. I mean, competitive programming is exactly like maths. It is also like chess. So once you you lose track of things, it is very hard to come back. For example, if you're already let's say you're able to solve div 2 A, B, and C on Codeforces right now, and you let's say decide to skip or leave CP for around 6 months. Then when you come back, it is not likely that you will be able to do all those problems again, like with that same speed, and you will have that same logic as well. So if you stay in touch with CP, like if you are able to give at least every second contest or every third contest, I think that is fine. But like apart from that, I think if you are able to solve at least one problem every single day, that is just perfect. You don't need anything other than that.
And I was really impressed with your typing speed, right? You were using that mechanical keyboard and it was too fast. I was just watching that piece, like where you are quickly typing. And I was like, man, how this guy is doing it. So can you just reveal that secret? How did you practice it?
Okay, so I think if you talk about improving typing speed, it is not like a secret here. It is known to everybody that if you are into touch typing, your speed will gradually increase. So I'll tell you exactly what is touch typing. Like for the people who start typing, what they do is they look at the keyboard and try to type every single key, right? And most of the people, they use only 2 or 4 of their fingers. Now, when I talk about touch typing, it is like you are able to type without seeing the keyboard. So I'll tell you exactly what happens. Let's say there is a finger. So you assign 4 or 5 keys on the keyboard to that finger. So what happens is that whenever you have to press, let's say P, so my right pinky should automatically go towards that P. That is what happens. So every finger of your hand is assigned certain letters. And once you get comfortable with that, you don't really have to think about it. Like whenever you have to type P, your finger will automatically move. And that is what is called muscle memory. So the thing is, what I'll advise to everybody is to, if you aren't touch typing right now, try to learn touch typing. It is very simple. You don't have to put in a lot of effort to learn touch typing. It would hardly take around a week and you will be able to type without seeing the keyboard. And that itself is like, that the feeling is just great. You don't have to look at the keyboard, right, while typing, and the feeling is just awesome. And if you talk about improving, you gradually improve. Like if I tell you that you have to, solve a particular problem again and again. So right now, let's say you're solving it and you're taking 5 minutes. So after 1 month, you'll be just taking 1 minute or even 30 seconds to solve that same problem. That is exactly what is happening. You're assigning some letters to every finger and your fingers are sort of learning it. So right now, if you talk about me, I don't even remember all the keys on the keyboard, but my fingers automatically move. Like if you tell me to narrate all the letters, I won't be able to do that, but my fingers would.
What is your strategy like while attempting CP contest, and how is it different from a really popular challenge for competitive programmers, that is icpc?
This is like a very general technique. What you have to do is, for example, let's take any Codeforces round which has 6 problems. Okay. So ideally what happens is all these problems are arranged in an increasing order of difficulty. So what happens is that you can start from the very first problem and go down. Now there are people who attempt it from the bottom to up, but the thing is that for most of these coding rounds, if you have 6 problems, the last 2 or the last 3 would be almost close to undoable. So I mean, attempting problems from the middle itself when you're starting a contest is not like a good strategy. But if you feel that the level of the contest is very low compared to your level, you can do that as well. You can start in the middle as well. So I personally like to start from the very top and keep moving down. Now there is just one catch here. For example, if you've solved A and B problems on a round, now you're moving to the third problem and you realize that this is a very tough problem. Okay. Now the situation can be the next problem in line could be easier than this one. Now how do you identify this? One of the things is that you can look at the number of submissions on every problem. For example, on C problem, let's say there are currently 200 submissions, and on the D problem there are over 1000 submissions. So this clearly tells you that the D problem is much more doable compared to the C problem, right? So you can move to the D problem in that case. So that is one thing. I mean, don't just have a very stiff strategy that you will be attempting from the top to the bottom. Keep in mind that sometimes the problems are not in order. That is one thing. Apart from that, what I feel is that this is what not a lot of people do, which is to have a pen and paper while you're attempting a contest. Like you can think a lot. I understand that there are people who can think without writing, but once you start jotting down your observations on a paper, it becomes so much easier. And obviously, like if you feel that you're just stuck on a problem, take a 2 minutes break. The contest is very long. It is like around 120 minutes and even 3 hours sometimes, like 180 minutes. So it is okay to take a very short break and come back to your place. So even while I'm attempting a contest, in my contest screencasts, people would have seen that I sort of get up from my chair and move around and think about the problem while I'm moving around, and then I come back. So that is very important. If you keep sitting on your laptop and keep thinking, it might be the case that you're not able to think about anything. But once you take a short break, things might strike in. So things in icpc are a bit different when you're attempting contest in a team. So icpc is a contest where you have a team of 3, right? And there are very many problems. Like in a normal Codeforces round, there would be 6 or 7 problems. In icpc, it could go up till 12, 14, 15. Now the reason is very simple. You have 3 people to attempt a contest, right? So there are 3 people solving it parallelly, and that is why there are more problems, and the problems are a bit harder. So the thing is, what I feel in icpc, your individual performance does not matter so much. What matters is your team coordination. Now this is something that I wasn't focusing so much, when I was building up my team initially. Like what I was thinking was, I'll just take people who are very high rated. Now this does not always work in icpc. If let's say you have 2 other teammates with whom your coordination is just amazing, and you have other 2 players who might be very high rated, but the coordination is not that good. So it might be that the first team would be performing better than the second team. Now this was told by one of my seniors here at IIIT Delhi, and this I feel is like a golden piece of advice, which is to have very good team coordination, build up a team with only people who you can talk to. And another thing is that when you are attempting a contest in a team, try to do the first few problems parallelly. This is what we followed in icpc regionals. And I mean, when you have let's say 15 problems, and you know that you will have to at least solve 8 out of them to get a decent rank. So you cannot be doing that all 3 of you are solving that one problem at a time. Try to solve the first few easy problems parallelly. Like you can assign let's say 6 problems, 2 you take, 2 the other one can take, and 2 the third person can take, and you solve these problems parallelly for let's say around 1 or 1.5 hours. Now for the remaining time of the contest, you can come up and solve the hard problems together. And it is always a great practice to have somebody in your team who is very good at implementation. Like you just tell them the idea and they just sort of implement it super fast. that is amazing.
Yeah.
Like if you can have a teammate like that.
Thank you, Priyansh, for sharing those wonderful advice. We will narrow down the things. Like, let's talk about a problem, right? So when you solve a question or given a problem in any of the contest, how do you actually break down the problem? What are the key points you focus on? How do you observe it? And like after the observation, how do you finalize, okay, this is the data structure and this will be the proper algorithm or logic I will be using to solve this problem?
So you basically want me to tell you what is the ideal way to solve a problem, basically, right?
Yeah, that's
Cool.
true.
So if you have a problem statement in front of you, there are certain regions or certain segments inside this problem statement. One of them is like the problem statement itself. The other is like the constraints. The other is the sample input and output. And I mean these are the major three things that are out there. So when you're looking at a problem, the problem statement should be crystal clear to you before you actually start implementing it, right? So let's say you read the problem statement once and you aren't able to get any ideas. The thing that you should do is you should read it once again. You might want to read it 3 times even as well, if you're not able to understand it, even a bit. After that, let's say you're able to understand it a bit and you're not able to understand it completely, you can look at the sample input and output. So when you look at the sample input and output, you see the input and you try to map it to the output. So when you do that, you can maybe dry run one of the small examples that are out there, and that will help you understand the problem statement exactly what you need to do. So there are 2 things before which after which you can maybe start implementing. One of them is understanding the problem statement very, very properly. The second is to look at the input and try to map it to the output. If you feel that the approach that you're going to use is not going to map it to the map that input to the output, don't start implementing it. There is no point in implementing it that thing, right? The third thing that you should look out is for the constraints. Now there are people who look at the problem statement, the input output, and just start implementing any random approach that comes to their mind. That is not something that you should do. For example, I'll give you an example here. Let's say you are using an order of n square approach, and the constraints tell you that n can be up till 10 to the power 5. This clearly means that the number of operations that you're doing is 10 to the power 10, which won't work, which will give you a TLE, right? Now this is something that you can identify only when you analyze the constraints, right? So there are like charts available on Codeforces. I also have a LinkedIn post about this time complexity chart, which tells you that if this is the size, this is the constraint on the n, let's say the length of the array, the length of the string, anything like that, this is the algorithm that might work. This is the time complexity that might fit in. For example, if you have n going up till 10 to the power 5, anything like n square, n log n, even n into square root n would work, right? So if you have like a basic idea that this is the constraint and this is the algorithm, this is the time complexity that might work, this will narrow down a lot of stuff. Like if you have so many algorithms and some of them are already order of n square, why do you want to use them, right?
Correct.
So this is one part. And if you talk about observations, building up observations on a problem, then for very easy problems, if you just analyze the input and output, your observations will come in. But for harder problems, try to think of problems that you've already solved. This is like again a golden piece of advice for DP problems. If you are encountering a DP problem and you aren't able to get any approach, think about the past DP problems that you solved, right? Now this is also what you have to understand is that for all these approaches that are out there, DP, greedy, there are certain standard techniques. For example, if you talk about dynamic programming, the first thing that you have to do is develop, think about a state. What is the state of your DP? Then think about the transition, then think about the base case, right? So for any algorithm or any data structure that you're working on, try to develop a general technique that you will be following every time when you're attempting a problem, right? And apart from that, if you have to identify certain data structures algorithms, that I think obviously comes with practice. But when you want to implement when you have to use a data structure, you have to clearly understand why you are using it. For example, if I tell you that you have an array and you want to do some range queries, so the first thing that might come to your mind is like a segment tree, right? But why exactly are you using a segment tree? Because it is providing you this computation in order of log n, which if you do it naively would take order of n, right? So you need to understand where exactly am I optimizing. If you want to optimize a certain part of your problem, and let's say you don't know any data structure, you can even search it online, that I have to do this part, how do I do it efficiently? And there will be a lot of blogs, articles which will tell you that.
As a fresher, like we need to deal with so many confusing things. Like since you have been a part of this, you might have faced this thing as well, like choice of language and how to start with coding, disappointment because we are not able to create the logic, and then pressure of like improving it. So what would you advise to first year and second year students with respect to this question?
Right. So I think that if you're just starting out, a good idea would be to just watch a very quick roadmap video that is out there on YouTube. I personally have a roadmap video on competitive programming on my YouTube channel, so maybe you can check that out as well. So, but the thing is, one thing that you should keep in mind is you should not be watching a lot of roadmap videos. Like if you want to, if you want to go into a certain field, it is a very good practice to watch a roadmap video on the very first go. So you have a basic understanding of what exactly is required in this field, and what exactly is like a path to excelling in this field, right? But if you like open one roadmap video and start opening other 10 videos again and again, that won't help you. Okay, so don't go into that loop of watching roadmap videos. Watch one roadmap video, that should be fine. And this will clear everything, like what language should you be choosing, how should you be practicing, everything like that, right? And apart from that, there is just one thing that I want to mention, which is very important for everybody that is starting out in CP, which I feel is that you should be joining a good community. Like I can give you examples, like you have Discord servers that are just amazing. For example, there is 𝗖𝐸𝐻𝑡o's Discord server. These are like competitive programmers who are very pro in this field. So basically, there are Discord servers which are like 𝗖𝐸𝐻𝑡o's Discord server, 𝗂𝐿𝐼𝐴𝐻𝑡o's Discord server. Even I have my own Discord server on CP. So the thing is that for most of the people, they do get demotivated. Once they're stuck on, let's say, a problem. For example, you're stuck on a problem and you're not able to come up with any approach and you don't have anybody to talk to. It is very normal that you will get demotivated. But once you're a part of a very big community where people are daily solving problems, all you have to do is just post your doubt and somebody will definitely answer. And I feel that all of these communities are just amazing. Like most of the people are willing to help you voluntarily. So that is one thing, that you should be a part of one good community. When I talk about communities, I am not talking about Telegram groups that are out there. There are a lot of things that are happening right now in CP and which is not great. So I would highly advise you not to join, in fact, any Telegram community. There is no need to join a Telegram community for CP particularly. Like if you look at Telegram, you don't even have bots. Like for Discord, there are quite a lot of bots that you can use to, that can help you in your CP journey overall. For Telegram, it is all about like posting announcements. You can't even clarify your doubts properly on Telegram. So I think Discord would be a perfect place. And there are things like moderators on Discord servers which can moderate everything. Like if there is a person who is posting a doubt from like an ongoing contest, then obviously that person would get banned or would get kicked or would get a warning around that, right? But that doesn't really happen on Telegram, I feel.
Like we will talk about a very debative question. I mean, you might have even faced this question a lot. And also, guys, Priyansh has bagged an internship offer from the Goldman Sachs as well. So I think he would be the best person to answer this one as well. So Priyansh, is competitive programming very necessary to crack any of the good product-based company or any of the well-known?
Right. That's an important question. And this is something that needs to be answered actually, because a lot of people, what they do is they feel that only CP can get you a good job, or only doing very pro level of development can get you a good job. That is not like how it works here. The thing is that it kind of depends on the company that you're applying for. For example, if you look at companies like CodeNation. So CodeNation is one company which, you cannot even clear the coding test without being very good at competitive programming. So companies like CodeNation, Uber, I feel Google does not, I don't consider Google in that category of having very pro level of CP problems in online rounds. But Google is also one company which does focus a lot on problem solving skills. So I feel that, if you're good at CP, this will definitely help you. Like if you compare yourself to your peers who are not doing CP, you would be at a much better place when you're attempting online coding rounds and even interviews, right? But there are companies like, I don't know if I should name companies here, but companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Goldman Sachs as well. You don't have to be very good in CP particularly. You should have like a bit of an overall profile. Like you should be good in problem solving skills, and if you have a couple of good projects in your resume, that should be perfect. So I'm not saying that you do CP particularly and you become candidate master or master for getting into Goldman Sachs, Amazon or Microsoft. What you can do is just before like your interviews, something like 3 or 4 months before that, you can master DSA. So for that, you can refer to lead code interview bit, and that should be totally enough. All you have to do is master DSA and have 1 or 2 good projects in your resume. That should be enough for companies that are not so specific on CP. But for companies like if you want to be in companies like Google, CodeNation, Uber, Sprinkler, MediaNet, then these are companies which are very specific towards having very good problem solving skills of the person that they're hiring. So I feel if you want to apply for companies like this, you can do CP as well. That would be good. If you look at almost 95% of the companies, leaving like just a very few of them, like CodeNation, MediaNet, Sprinkler, if you leave like a very few of them, all you have to do is you have to be good in DSA and have 1 or 2 good projects.
Yeah.
Okay. This is all that is required. You don't have to be pro in CP. I don't ever say this, that you have to be good in CP to get a good job.
Priyansh, you might have seen this debative topic again, like on platforms like LinkedIn, especially like CP versus dev, right? I have seen students are fighting in the comments that no, CP is much better, no, development is really important, like these kind of stuff. So what's your experience on that?
Okay, so this is like a very important question. A lot of people are talking about this. So the thing is, what I feel, is that, if you are interested in one of these fields, let's say CP or development, if you are interested in one of these fields, I would highly advise you to pursue, that field more compared to the other one.
Right.
So for example, I am totally into CP. So it is not like I hate development. It is not like that. The thing is that I just enjoy CP more than development, right? So I sort of try to do CP more than development. But the thing is that, I also sort of sometimes have a FOMO that I am not doing development. Maybe I should do development. But I have also talked to people who are doing development and who are really pro in development, and they tell me the same exact thing. They tell me that we sort of have a FOMO when people are solving very hard problems on Codeforces. And I mean, that is how it is. Like you can be pro in both of these fields. That is totally fine. But I would highly advise you to, not be average in both of these. Try to be pro in at least one of them. That would be much better, than doing both of these together. Right. And I mean, I don't know. I don't have any feelings for like which is better. It is just that I have done CP more than development. So I feel that I personally like CP, and there are people who like development as well. Right. And it is not like, that if you do CP only, then will you get a job, or if you do development only, then will you get a job. Right. So it is also a little bit company specific. If you're applying for companies which are requiring very good problem solving skills, if you're not at all good in development, that should be fine. If you're applying for startups and you don't have any knowledge of DSA and you are very good in React and JavaScript and stuff like that, that would be amazing as well. Right. And if you want to apply for companies that are, looking for both projects and a little bit of DSA, doing some DSA and having one or two good projects in your resume is fine. Don't be in that situation that you're just comparing every time. You're just comparing what should I do, CP or dev, CP or dev. Yeah. Pick up one field, do it for 2 months, do it for 3 months. If you don't like it, switch. That is how it works. You have ample amount of time. It is not like your life is going to end after 2 months, right? You can do anything that you want to. If you don't like it, switch. That is how it works.
One last final question, Priyansh, and after that we will end this podcast. So what do you feel like are the most important things that made you a really good coder, and what would be your best advices for like budding competitive programmers?
I feel one of the very important things is consistency. Like I think I've already mentioned this just here in this podcast, but the thing is, if you leave let's say you're doing certain thing and you leave it for around 6 months, 7 months, things won't be the same when you come back, right? So even if if you feel that you haven't done anything for the past 1 week, let's say for example, if you're talking about CP, let's say you haven't done CP for the past 1 week, just go on Codeforces, solve 1 or 2 problems, and you'll come back to that same zone, right? But if you do that thing after 2 months, that won't be the same, right? So consistency is one of the things. The other thing is to have a good peer group who are also doing those same things. Like if you're doing development, have a peer group where people are doing development. Don't be in that peer group where people are only doing CP. Like if you're the person who is doing dev, right? So try to have some friends who are doing those same things. Now the thing is, I'll tell you exactly how it helps. For example, if you're attempting a Codeforces round and you have solved 2 problems, and your friend whom you talk to has solved 3 problems, so you will obviously you might get demotivated. I know that, but the thing is, you will feel that you also want to solve the 3rd problem, right? And this also happens when, let's say you don't want to attempt a contest and you see that your friend has registered for it, you will also register for it. That is how it works. Right.
Yeah, that's the healthy competition.
Right. And if you aren't able to have friends who do CP, join any Discord community. You can once you start talking on Discord servers, you will become friends with a lot of people who are doing CP. And I mean, whenever you're stuck, you can talk to them, right? So these are the 2 things that I feel are very important. Apart from that, I feel that a lot of people when they're doing CP, they don't upsolve regularly. So when you attempt a contest, let's say that contest has 4 problems, and you're able to solve the first 3 and you aren't able to solve the 4th problem, right? Now, one of the reasons why you aren't able to solve the 4th problem could be that you don't know about a particular concept. So, but if you don't look at that problem again after that contest, you won't magically learn that concept on your own, right? You will have to understand why are we using this concept and where should I learn it from, right? So after a contest, make it a point to try to attempt the problems that you haven't solved again on your own. If you aren't able to come up with any approaches, look at the editorial, try to understand what are the concepts that you don't know about, right? And for most of the concepts, you can refer to this website called CP Algorithms. I think it contains just almost all of the data structures, algorithms, and any concept that you will require in CP to reach something like master or international master. So that is very important. Upsolving is really very important.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it was really informative, Priyansh, like whatever experience you have shared about your competitive programming journey, how you actually approach to the contest, problem solving, whatever you talked, it was like pinpoint. And I hope even the students who are watching this video, or if you are someone who is really into the competitive programming and want to improve, these advices will definitely help you. So from my side and from my audience side, thank you very much, Priyansh, for joining this podcast and sharing these like very, very informative tips.
Thank you so much for having me. It was just wonderful answering all these questions. All these questions were just amazing. And just before I like say a goodbye, I wanted to tell you that I also have my own YouTube channel, and which you can like maybe add in the description and people can check it out. And apart from that, you can also be a part of my Discord server. I have quite a lot of people, almost like 6,000 people on my Discord server. So you can check that out as well.
So that was all about in this podcast, guys. I hope you would have enjoyed the entire experience shared by Priyansh. If yes, then make sure to like this video for better reach. And if you're new to my channel, then subscribe and press the notification icon. I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, just stay safe, stay home, take care of yourself and your family.